I want to give a special thanks to my subscribers, Jessica and Christopher Hall. Thanks.
A Billy Bob Halloween. OC, so I do apologize that I haven't gotten any new Grinning Skull out lately, but this last week has been hectic for me. And life in general is only going to get more chaotic for the next few months thanks to various life goings on. Yesterday was my last day at work, and on Monday, I leave for Maui with my family to spread my father's ashes. Then when I return from Maui, I'm going to be traveling for a while as I try to find a new place to live, because my home is just too expensive for me to live in on my own. Currently, I'm looking at Oregon and Washington, but time will tell. It's all a little scary, but also exciting, and I'm sure once I settle in, I'll be able to write way more consistently. I promise that I'll get more Grinning Skull out soon, but in the meantime, I hope this little Billy Bob short will help. If I get the chance, I might be writing some light stuff while I travel as well. Either way, I hope you understand and enjoy. Billy Bob had his feet up on the dash, leaning back in the passenger chair as he waited. Come on! How long is this going to take? You're the one who wanted to make this a surprise. If you need help, just ask for it.
I got it.
He heard Emily insist.
I did lots of research for this holiday and costume. It's really no fun if it isn't a surprise.
Billy Bob thought that over for a minute. And what sort of costume did you go for? Because girls seem to have two competing theories. He was trying to think about what sort of skimpy costume the bird might pick before he heard her reply.
Something scary.
Came her reply, which prompted a disappointed expression on his face for a moment. Either way, he couldn't stop rubbing his hands over his freshly shaven face. It felt weird to lose his beard, but he'd had to make sure he looked just right for his costume, which had spent almost no time on at all. But that hardly mattered, because he was positive it was an awesome costume. So, are you excited about going drunk-or-treating? He asked out, as he kept an eye on the time. Parents should be out with their kids still. They had an hour or two before the changeover from trick-or-treating to drunk-or-treating.
I'm still confused by this. I thought the process was tricked and treated.
She asked from the bathroom as he heard a soft thud and looked back at the door before hearing her grumble something indistinct. Trick-or-treating, and that's for kids. We're adults. We can just go buy candy whenever we want, and in bulk, and sometimes even space candy. No, what we'll be doing is drunk-or-treating. Adults dress up and then go door to door getting mini bottles of booze, or sometimes full mixed drinks from the nicer houses.
And you do this? Why again? She asked.
Seeming a little confused. I mean, booze gets you drunk. I know you've been drunk before, Billy Bob replied, confused by her confusion.
I know that.
She stressed.
I mean, what's the point?
The point of what? Getting drunk? That is the point. Getting drunk is for the sake of getting drunk, and usually partying and having fun, and sometimes making poor decisions and waking up with a hell of a hangover. He didn't seem to grasp what she was asked.
Billy Bob, I mean, why is this holiday celebrated by dressing up in this fashion and going around? Dressing up and going door to door.
Because that's what Halloween is about. Making awesome costumes and showing them off and having fun and getting drunk. It's a celebration of being able to say fuck the rules and be what you want, if only for one night. Like when your teacher asks you what you want to be when you grow up, and you say a raptor, and they're all like, you can't be that, and I'm all like, I'm totally gonna be a raptor, just you wait and see. At the end of all that, he finally had to stop and take a deep breath as he'd been running out of air.
That's cute. You wanted to be a bird when you were little?
Emily asked from the bathroom, and he frowned for a moment. What? Not like... Well, technically... Damn it, we're doing this again. I mean velociraptor, not flying raptor-type bird. He huffed for a moment as he somehow got into this conversation with her once or twice a month, it seemed. Okay.
Well, but why Halloween?
For what now? He'd forgotten what they were talking about.
For dressing up? What's the significance of the day that makes you dress up and be whatever you want and get drunk? Like, historically, why did you guys start doing this?
Ooh. He finally got what she meant, and then realized he had no idea. During our war for independence, there was a night where a bunch of kids dressed up as royalty and demanded food from the redcoats. Confused by their total lack of social grace, the Brits gave them some food. To celebrate this surprise, the American parents dressed up as redcoats and brought beer. Everyone got so drunk they forgot to fight the next day, and in fact most of the soldiers defected and became Americans.
Really?
Emily sounded surprised. No? He smiled as he heard her let out that annoyed squawk she got when he did stuff like this.
Why do I ask you anything?
She exclaimed as he heard her move around in the bathroom. Maybe she was finally finished. 'Cause I'm amazing. He finally heard the door open and looked back. She stepped out, and his face quickly went blank. Oh no.
What you think?
She asked, slowly turning around in the black clothing. The skulls, the menacing appearance, the lightning bolts, the red armbands. Emily, you can't dress up like that, Billy Bob exclaimed as he looked at the Livertonian in a very well-made looking SS uniform. She had one armband for each of her right arms, and she was a giant eagle, so it was a little odd, but it was pretty obvious what she was supposed to be.
Why not?
She asked, looking down over her SS costume.
According to history, this was the uniform of a group of evil humans, yes? Very scary. Isn't there a custom of wearing scary costumes?
Yeah, but it's a bit more than that, especially here in the Deep South. Emily looked confused when he said this.
But I thought this city was north of the equator on this planet.
Yeah, but what does that... He nodded as he understood. No, I mean, this was the nearest American colony that had gravity you're all right in. It's called the Deep South. The capital city is New Narlands. And really, they only have New Mississippi to skew the statistics for the rest of the cities and make them look better. This is America. You take the bad with the good, and we're still better than those damn UHGers.
Well, what's so bad about these guys? I mean, you have a children's show featuring a mass murderer who killed so many people it affected your global climate.
When Emily said that Billy Bob had to pause and think, we do, then it hit him. Oh, Counting with Khans, featuring Grandpa Genghis and his grandson Counting Kubla Khan. Fuck, his initials are KKK. How the hell does this shit get past censors? Billy Bob shook his head for a moment. Yeah, okay, you kind of got me there. I'm not sure about why there's a counting show about murderous Mongols, but the Nazis are different. They had this whole ideology about evil shit. Like only one kind of skin color and hair color is good, and a bunch of other stuff. Didn't I explain this to you before?
Well, you mentioned them a bit when we were in the museum, but most of that's a blur since we had to fight our way out, and then I saved your life. Again.
Emily countered, but Billy Bob rolled his eyes. Well, they're total dicks. I'll have to explain it a bit better later, but you can't go out dressed like that. Halloween's scary costume or not, it's still totally inappropriate.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Emile said with a wave of one of her hands. She turned then to open the hatch leading outside before Billy Bob could stop her. As soon as it was open, however, he heard someone in the distance shout, "Yeah, white power!" which was followed by another voice. "Racist bigot! I'm getting my shotgun!" Billy Bob rushed forward, and slamming the button for the door to close it as he pulled Emily away. See? Deep South. And before you ask, it's filled with both idiots who want to be like Nazis and other reasonably angry folks who would want to kill those other people. but they'll root for their favorite local sports team together. It's a human thing, so please, can we figure out a new costume for you? Emily huffed a little, crossing her arms.
But I worked so hard on this. And you always told me about how Americans were super open-minded and totally loved bringing in new immigrants, so they could also be Americans. What's this about white power and racism?
Oh! Billy Bob stopped for a moment. Because some people are just stupid. But as a country, we can't punish them simply for being stupid, no matter how much we want to. Instead, we have to protect them and try to educate them and hope that the next generation is less stupid. Plus, there are always going to be people who'd rather blame their own fuck-ups on other people. So we, as Americans, have to put up with these people and move them into the Deep South and places like New Mississippi where we pretend to forget about them. Well, New Mississippi for the Deep South and Bogan land on the planet Crikey.
I'm still having trouble understanding humans.
Emily muttered. Yeah, we get that a lot, Billy Bob said with a shrug. Now then, get back into your bell-bottoms and that red shirt you've got. I'll take care of the rest of costume.
Fine.
She huffed out, feathers ruffled a bit at her inability to wear what she wanted, but she retreated to the bathroom to change again. While she was doing that, he quickly found his American flag cape and widened the chain a bit so it would fit over her head, and one of his American flag hats. Then he grabbed one of his 1911S from his gun locker before grabbing an empty bottle of JD. Well, he opened it up and drank the last little bit. Okay now, it was empty.
All right, so what are we doing?
Emily asked once she stepped out of the bathroom back in the bell-bottom, like jeans her species wore. He smiled and handed her the gun and the empty whiskey bottle before sticking the hat on her head and fastened the clasp of the flag cloak around her shoulders.
What am I supposed to be?
She asked, looking over her new costume. You're an American eagle, he exclaimed with a smile. All right, so you ready to go drunk-or-treating now?
Wait, aren't you going to dress up?
She asked, and he looked down for a moment. I am dressed up,
No, you're not.
she huffed.
That's just your blue jeans and an armored assault vehicle top.
Billy Bob arched an eyebrow for a moment, and then shook his head. Tank top. It's called a tank top, and it's not just any tank top. He waved his hands over the graphic on the front. But tonight, I am not Billy Bob Space Trucker. I have become your old buddy, Jack Burton Space Trucker. An undetermined amount of hours later, Billy Bob groaned heavily as he slowly opened his eyes and then groaned louder as the sunlight hurt his already throbbing head. It was like some aggressive Marines were liberating the shit out of his skull. What had he done last night? He tried to remember as he delicately untangled himself from the bush he'd been sleeping in. They'd gone drunk-or-treating. Normally, he didn't get this drunk. Oh, but that one house had space booze. Shit. That had to be it. He slowly stood up, shielding his eyes from the harsh sunlight as he looked around, unsure where the hell he was. And where was Emily? Then he heard faint sirens in the distance, and suddenly, Emily ran past, clutching a pig in her arms.
Billy Bob, I've acquired breakfast by stealing this porcine creature. We must dairy product it. The fuzzy law enforcement is after us.
Billy Bob was about to ask what the hell was going on when he heard a shotgun blast.
Okay.
And ducked.
Fucking punk kids. You'll get back here with Dorothy. That prize-winning bacon belonged to me. And you're gonna pay for tipping over my cows.
Also, an angry farmer is after us. Billy Bob turned and began to chase after Emily, ignoring the pain in his everywhere as he needed to avoid the ire of an angry farmer. Well, he'd have to piece together just what the hell had happened, but so far it seemed to him like Emily was a natural drunk-or-treater.
Also, a special shout out to the Shadow 13. Y'all know who you at.